Hey guys, we are back here on my bedroom floor, and today I thought it'd be a cool idea to show you guys my engine fleet. Alright, so first up we have my MTH Rail King Santa Fe F3, and this is a pretty important engine in my life because this was actually the very first engine ever since I was born that was always running around the Christmas tree. I think this is a model from 1997 or something like that, so it's a PS1. But this is the engine that got me, and I feel like got a lot of people into the hobby just from the beautiful paint scheme. And it's just funny. I feel like everybody who starts off in this hobby always starts around with the small loop of track around a Christmas tree. And it's just, this engine has been with me. It's actually lost its sound a few times. I've replaced the speaker quite a few times, but I couldn't afford to lose the sounds in it. So I love this thing. It's, like I said, it's a beautiful engine. That war bonnet paint scheme is gorgeous, and this one has been with me pretty much my whole life, and it's got me into trains, so this one's pretty important. Alright, next up on the list, this is my MTH Rail King Pennsylvania S2 Turbine, and like the F3, this is also a pretty significant engine to me. This was actually the very first engine I went to the train store out and picked out, and the story of me getting this one's kind of funny. When I went to the store, the only reason why I picked out this engine, and I mean the only reason, is because when I got there, this thing was running around the test layout, and this thing was, I mean, completely smoking up the whole shop. Like when people would open the door, smoke would roll out of the store and fill the streets, and it was just so cool to me, and I was probably about 5 or 6 years old, so to me that was just so cool. And I didn't even look at any other engines for sale in the store. I just went right to this one. I didn't want anything else. I just wanted this one because it was just so cool and it smoked so well, and to me that was so neat. And obviously now that the engine's a lot older, it doesn't smoke as much as it used to, so it's not as good. But now MTH did make a Imperial version later on of this model, and I'm sure it's a lot better, and I did think about getting it, but in the end I decided not to because I didn't want to have two of the same engine, more or less. Now, even though this one is a lot more compact and the details aren't as good, I didn't want to ruin the specialty or specialness, I guess, of this one since it's been so important in my life. But I just love this thing, and it's been part of my childhood and growing up, and it's a pretty important one in the roster. Now, I actually didn't understand the whole point of the turbine thing until I was much older, and it's kind of why I always wondered why there was no, extra running gears on this thing. I didn't understand how a turbine worked or anything, but when I found out, I thought that was kind of neat and interesting. Now, obviously, this one still has the chugging and chuffing sound, which isn't, how the turbine works. So it's kind of not the whole prototypical thing. Like I said, this one's pretty old. It's an early PS2, but I don't really care. It's still, like I said, part of my childhood, and it's the first one I ever got from the store. So of course it's, going to impact me significantly. I just love this thing and adore it so much. Alright, next up on the list, this is my MTH Premier Burlington Northern SD60M. This one is a fan favorite of many people who have seen it at shows and who have came to my old layout. A lot of people are drawn to this absolutely gorgeous paint scheme. I love this thing. It looks so cool. I am a big patriot, and I love this country, of course, so obviously this one to me is really neat and just a beautiful engine. This is the first Premier engine I've ever owned, and the details are pretty good. It's a PS2. Obviously it's older, so kind of the walkways have had to be re-glued and stuff, but this one's definitely a favorite of mine. Like I said, I love our country, love our troops, and we definitely support them, as it says on the side there. But this thing is a really beautiful engine, and I do have a few military cars, and I also have the Lionel Freedom Train passenger cars, so sometimes I'll pull those with this, and it looks pretty neat. Obviously it's not like the original set, but still, I love this thing. It's such a beautiful paint scheme, and I love this one too. I just want to get a quick close-up and show you guys the great detailing on this paint real quick, just because it's so beautiful. And then on the side here, you would have all the military branch logos here. Just totally cool. So yeah, I love this one. This one's really neat looking. Alright, so next up, this is my MTH Rail King Imperial GS4 Southern Pacific Daylight. Now, if you watched some of my old videos and look back at my old channel, you would know that I am a huge Daylight fan. This is, besides the Dreyfuss Hudson, one of my favorite steam engines of all time. So this one is super special to me, and I've had this one for a while as well, so this one's pretty important. Now, if you've paid attention to the video, you've noticed that this engine is facing the other way. And that is because this is the engine's pretty side, as I like to call it. Like I said, I've had this engine for a pretty long time, and it's survived me growing up as a kid. So there's some paint imperfections on it, I guess. Some of the paint is peeled off or chipped away, and on the other side where the drive wheels are, the white wall or pinstriping on the wheels, that has completely fallen off or peeled off. So if anybody knows a fix for that, please let me know, because I would love to get it back to looking great. But like I said, this is one of my favorite engines. It's beautiful. It's not, anything fancy. It's not a Premier or a Vision line or anything, but it works. It's a decent size. I love it's good. I love it, and runs good and sounds good. I love this thing. Alright, so now I know what I just said about the Daylight being beautiful and all that, but at the same time, this has to be one of the most beautiful steam engines I own. I know what I just said, but this is my MTH Rail King Imperial Virginia and Truckee 10-wheeler, and I mean, just look at this thing. This thing is absolutely gorgeous. Look at the red on the wheels pop with that beautiful metallic blue and the brown and the gold. I mean, this thing is just insane. I just love this thing. Now, 10-wheelers are funny because I feel like in the hobby, nobody does a layout themed to the era where these usually were prototypical. But it's just so funny to see these running around more modern layouts. But it's funny because you have to shop for particular cars and freight cars and stuff like that. But the way I have this thing set up is I have 3 MTH Premier wood-sided passenger cars I have, and I also have a Canon car and a box car, which I also run with this thing. So that's how I set this thing up usually. And like I said, it's funny because people have these with other more modern stuff, and it just always looks funny to me. But yeah, this thing is totally gorgeous and totally unique, and I just love this thing so much. It's so fun just to run around, and it's so cool because it's so different. Most people have modern diesels and stuff like that. Not a lot of people have these 10-wheelers, but I just think they're really neat, and I just love having this as a model.